हाय फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक। तो फ्रेंड्स, अभी का वीडियो है टॉप 10 डिफेंस स्टार्टअप्स मेकिंग इंडिया आत्मनिर्भर इन डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी। तो चलो वीडियो शुरू करते हैं। पर वीडियो शुरू करने से पहले अगर आप चैनल पर नए हो और आपने अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो जल्दी से पहले सब्सक्राइब के बटन और बेल आइकन को क्लिक कर लो ताकि आपको हमारे सारे न्यू वीडियोस की नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाए जैसे हम अपलोड करें।
अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आता है प्लीज लाइक एंड शेयर। चलिए शुरू करते हैं।
Between 2015 and 2019, India was the second largest arms importer in the world, importing roughly 9.2% of the world's weapons. The only other country that imported more weapons than India did was Saudi Arabia at 12%. And this is noteworthy because India's defense budget was the third largest in the world in 2020. 4.71 lakh crore rupees or $65.86 billion. And a large portion of this budget is eaten up by imports. According to the Defense Research and Development Organization, that's the DRDO's chief G. Satish Reddy, India only produces about 45 to 50% of its defense needs. The rest of this military hardware and software is purchased from other countries, which obviously isn't ideal for India because it makes India reliant upon these countries. These are countries like Russia, France, and Israel. And they have power over India because they can increase the price of these goods, they can choose what to sell to India and what not to sell to India, and they can even refuse to sell to India in the first place. These are all problems, but none of these problems would exist if India was self-sufficient. If it was able to manufacture its military hardware and software in-house. And this is exactly what India is beginning to do. The Indian government recently announced a negative list of 101 imports, which included weapon systems like artillery guns, assault rifles, corvette warships, transport aircraft, light combat helicopters, wheeled armored fighting vehicles, and many, many more. Within the next 5 to 7 years, India will only be procuring these kinds of weapon systems and vehicles from domestic manufacturers. And as a result, it's estimated that the local defense industry will be getting contracts upwards of 4 lakh crore rupees or $55 billion. Now, like I said, this process will likely take a decade and a half or more to complete. But if we're just looking at the immediate future, 63% of India's military capital budget for 2021 to 2022, which equates to 70,221 crore rupees, that's $9.7 billion, has been set aside for buying locally produced weapons and systems. And this is all really great news for India. But despite all of these efforts, when it comes to arms exports, India accounted for just 0.2% of the global market between 2016 and 2020. India is currently the world's 24th largest exporter of major arms, but it's planning on changing that in the next 5 years. India's 2025 target for exporting defense and aerospace goods is $5 billion. That's 35,000 crore rupees. Now, coming to the topic of this video, defense startups, the truth is that most of them don't survive. They say that 9 out of 10 startups fail, but that's referring to B2C and B2B startups. Selling to consumers or businesses is honestly a walk in the park compared to selling to the military or the government. When it comes to B2G startups, that's business to government startups, 9.9 out of 10 of them fail. And this is because governments are significantly more selective when it comes to products and services than businesses or consumers are. But it also means that B2G startups are some of the most impressive, tenacious, and innovative startups around, which of course is why we thought that they were worth talking about. And so in this video, we wanted to highlight 10 of India's top defense startups that are creating hardware and software for India's military. Starting things off at number 10, we have Chennai-based Big Bang Boom Solutions. Founded by R. Shivaraman and Praveen Dwarkanath in 2018, Big Bang Boom Solutions is one of the youngest defense startups in India, and they've got a lot of stuff in the works. Their flagship product, the 360 Advanced Battle Interface, is designed to enhance the visual capabilities of the T-Series tanks used by the Indian Armed Forces. See, at the moment, when a soldier is inside of an armored tank, their visibility is quite limited because they're surrounded by metal. Fortunately though, it looks like this soon will no longer be the case, at least for T-Series tanks, because Big Bang Boom Solutions' battle interface enables soldiers to get a 360-degree view around their tank. For this battle interface, Big Bang Boom Solutions was one of the winners of the Innovation for Defense Excellence Challenge. That's the IDEX Challenge. IDEX is a competition which was started by the Indian government to encourage startups, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, and individuals to create innovative products for the Indian defense and aerospace industries. And believe it or not, Big Bang Boom Solutions has actually won the IDEX challenge more than once. Besides their 360 advanced battle interface, Big Bang Boom also won an IDEX challenge for their anti-drone defense system. Apart from these award-winning innovations, Big Bang Boom is also working on a couple of other products like boron nitrate hybrid personal combat armor-piercing incendiary rounds, riot control drones, and unmanned tank software for T-Series tanks. Next up at number 9, we have Sagar Defense Engineering. Founded by Nikunj Parashar and Mridul Babar in 2016, Sagar Defense Engineering has some pretty ambitious goals. They've developed a product called Genesis, which is an AI-enabled device that can be programmed to carry out smart and specific tasks that aren't safe for humans, like cleaning up oil spills, surveying marine borders, and providing flood relief. Genesis can be retrofitted to any manned vessel to turn it into an unmanned autonomous vessel. But besides Genesis, Sagar Defense Engineering has also built a couple of UAVs, that's unmanned aerial vehicles, otherwise known as drones. And in January of 2021, they also announced SkyDock, which is a fully autonomous charging and launching system for drones. They're developing SkyDock in partnership with the DRDO. Besides the DRDO, Sagar Defense Engineering also works with the Indian Navy, the Indian Army, as well as some clients outside of the government like Tata, L&T, and ONGC. Moving on to number 8 now, we have Ahmedabad-based Optimized Electrotech, which was founded by Anil Yakala, Dharin Shah, Kuldeep Saxena, Purvi Shah, and Sandeep Shah in 2017. Optimized Electrotech is an electro-optic startup that's building security and surveillance systems for India's military. The startup has developed a range of products which use high-resolution sensors and cameras to capture detailed images even in extremely low-light situations. After capturing these images, Optimized Electrotech then processes them to find out if the people or vehicles in those images are armed. It reads and records their license plates, and it matches their faces with potential suspects. Following this, Optimized Electrotech then passes this information onto the relevant military department. And did I mention that all of this is done without any human intervention whatsoever? It's completely automated, which is one of the biggest reasons why Indian security forces like the Central Industrial Security Force, the Central Reserve Police Force, the Coastal Guard, the Indian Air Force, and the Indian Army are using Optimized Electrotech's products. These products include InfiVision, which can detect tanks at a range of 30 kilometers or about 18 miles, Noctvision, which is a low-light surveillance system, and ClearVision, which is an all-weather surveillance system. Optimized Electrotech was also one of the winners of the IDEX Challenge in 2019, and they've also raised $1 million, that's 7.3 crore rupees, to commercialize their products and develop new ones. Coming in at number 7 now, we have Mumbai-based Dimension NXG. Founded by Pankaj Raut, Abhijit Patil, and Abhishek Tomar in 2014, Dimension NXG, which is known for their product Ajna Lens, is an augmented reality startup that's launched a defense-focused version of their product called Ajna Bolt, which are India's first AI-powered mixed reality defense glasses. These glasses are designed and manufactured in India, and soldiers can use them to share and view live mission feeds,
Ooh,
identify targets,
acha.
transmit information, and use 3D holographic maps for navigation. These glasses are powered by a
Kamal hai, yaar.
Snapdragon 845 processor, and they're equipped with thermal cameras, night vision, and tactile sensors. On top of this, they can be controlled with touch, voice commands, eye gestures, and hand gestures.
Yeah.
Besides developing these glasses for the Indian Army, Navy, and the DRDO, Dimension NXG has also created an Ajna lens product for enterprise clients called Ajna Light, and an Ajna lens product for government and private organizations called Ajna TX, which is able to detect potential COVID-19 carriers. Next up at number 6, we have Chennai-based Vinveli, which is the Tamil word for space. The startup was founded by Gokulananda Yuvarj, along with two of his friends, Esaki Durai and Uanku, in 2014. Vinveli is a UAV startup that creates drones for both defense and commercial purposes. In the defense category, they have two versions of a made-in-India drone called Vero. The smaller variant is capable of carrying two 38mm grenades, which can be fired mid-air, and the larger variant is designed to carry high explosive IEDs. It can shoot 40mm grenades, has a 40-minute flight time, and can also carry ammunition and food to soldiers in the battlefield. Vinveli's clients include the Special Forces, the National Security Guard, the Central Reserve Police Force, and also the Ministry of Defense and Home Affairs. Now, coming back to the startup's name, which again is Vinveli, or space in Tamil, Gokul had previously worked at NASA and had actually initially intended to build a space startup. Later on though, he decided to pivot to building drones and shifted his operations from the United States to India. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Mumbai-based IdeaForge. Founded by IIT graduates Ankit Mehta, Ashish Bhatt, Rahul Singh, Vipul Joshi, and Amardeep Singh in 2010, IdeaForge is India's largest drone manufacturer for defense, homeland security, and industrial applications. Their flagship drone, the Switch Vertical Takeoff and Landing UAV, can fly for more than 2 hours, reach altitudes of up to 4,500 meters, that's 14,000 feet, and can transmit high-resolution images during the day and at night. In January of 2021, IdeaForge signed a $20 million contract, that's a 144 crore rupee contract, with the Indian Army to supply them with these Switch drones. This contract was fought over by more than a dozen companies, some of which were international companies, but IdeaForge's drones were the only ones that were able to stand up against the Indian Army's stringent requirements and testing. And one of the reasons for this is that over the last decade or so, IdeaForge's drones have actually undergone a lot of real-world testing. They were used for rescue missions in Nepal in 2015 after the earthquake, and for flood relief operations in Uttarakhand in 2013. These drones are tough. They can handle a lot of abuse. And IdeaForge knows that lives are depending on the reliability of these UAVs, which I think is one of the biggest reasons why they got this Indian Army contract. So far, IdeaForge has raised $15.4 million. That's 110 crore rupees from Infosys, WRVI Capital, and Windrose Capital. Coming in at number 4 now, we have Kochi-based underwater drone startup IROV. Founded by John Stimatai and Kannappa Palaniappan in 2016, IROV has developed India's first underwater drone called the IROV Tuna. ROV stands for Remotely Operated Vehicle, and these drones are actually meant to replace divers in dangerous situations. See, underwater inspections and missions that are carried out by human divers are typically limited to a depth of 30 to 40 meters. That's a depth of between 100 and 130 feet. And when you add risks like underwater currents, poor visibility, and potentially hostile marine life, replacing human divers with ROVs makes a lot of sense. The IROV Tuna can go as deep as 100 meters, that's 328 feet. It can transmit live HD video, and it can operate underwater for upwards of 3 hours. IROV which was one of the winners of the IDEX Challenge in 2019, onboarded the DRDO as its first customer, and has completed over 15 pilot projects for both commercial and government clients.
Wow.
Besides the tuna, IROV is working on an advanced version of this underwater drone, which can navigate much harsher conditions. IROV was incubated at Maker Village, Kochi, and is supported by Kerala Startup Mission, the India Innovation Growth Program, and GALE. Next up at number 3, we have Gurugram-based Gur Systems. Founded by Tushar Chabra, Tommy Katzenellenbogen, and Saurav Agarwala in 2015, Gur Systems is an IoT-based startup that's developing security solutions intended for deployment at India's borders. See, as I'm sure you know, a lot of India's borders are covered with fences, and these fences are intended to keep intruders out. But these fences need to be monitored by soldiers 24/7 to make sure that nobody's climbing over them or digging under them or cutting through them. And that's where Kron's Kavach security system comes in. Kavach consists of a series of fence posts which can be planted about 200 feet from one another, that's about 61 meters from one another, at any of India's borders. These fence posts are equipped with sensors and they're connected to one another through a wireless network. If an unauthorized person crosses between these fence posts, then an alarm is sounded and the command center is notified. Following this, soldiers can either go out and assess the situation on foot, or alternatively, Gur Systems drones and rovers can go out and make an assessment without risking any human lives. The Kavach security system is already being used by India's border security force, and now Gur Systems is working on its latest product called SenseEdge to identify intruders before they've even crossed the border using machine learning and AI. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Bengaluru-based medtech startup Axio Bio Solutions. Founded by Leo Mavely in 2008, Axio Bio Solutions has developed an FDA-approved wound care product called AxioStat. This is a hemostatic dressing which is currently being carried and used by soldiers on the battlefield to control bleeding from gunshot wounds and blast injuries. Normally, these kinds of injuries result in a soldier bleeding out and dying. But now, thanks to AxioStat, the survival rate for soldiers who have experienced these kinds of injuries is much higher. AxioStat does this with the help of a positively charged biomaterial called chitosan. When this biomaterial comes in contact with the negatively charged components of blood, it accelerates the process of coagulation and clotting, meaning that the soldier's blood stops flowing more quickly. These high-tech, made-in-India wound dressings start being effective less than 5 minutes after they're applied. And the Indian Army has been using them since 2014. Besides AxioStat, Axio Bio Solutions sells commercial products through an online store, and these products are also available across 6,000 retail stores in India. Also, thanks to their FDA approval, Axio Bio Solutions sells AxioStat as an over-the-counter product in the United States. Axio Bio Solutions has raised $15 million, that's 110 crore rupees, from the likes of R&T Capital, Accel, Charate Ventures, and Omedyar Network. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Bengaluru-based Tonbo Imaging. Founded by Arvind Lakshmi Kumar, Ankit Kumar, Sudeep George, and Cecilia D'Souza in 2012, Tonbo Imaging builds advanced imaging and sensor systems for the defense industry. And this is fitting because the startup's name, Tonbo, is actually Japanese for dragonfly. The idea behind the name is that dragonflies have up to 30,000 lenses in their eyes, which gives them 360-degree vision. And it's this 360-degree vision that Tonbo Imaging is given to the Indian military. Their flagship product STAR, which stands for see-through armor, is a combination of 3-day and 3-night sensors. Each sensor has a 120-degree field of view, and so when you combine all these sensors together, you get an imaging system that enables armored vehicles to see in 360 degrees under any weather or lighting condition. In 2021, Tonbo's imaging systems were integrated with the Indian Army's BMP-2 Sarat tanks, and its capabilities were showcased at the Aero India 2021, which is Asia's biggest aerospace and defense exhibition. Besides STAR, Tonbo Imaging has also created AI-enabled missile systems, surveillance systems, and night vision systems. And specifically talking about these night vision systems, they were used by the Indian soldiers that carried out the Uri surgical strike back in 2016. Tonbo Imaging has also secured a contract to co-develop man-portable anti-tank guided missiles in partnership with Bharat Dynamics. Their technology is so impressive that Tonbo Imaging actually exports their made-in-India defense hardware to 25 different countries, including the United States and Israel. To date, Tonbo Imaging has raised nearly $31 million, that's 225 crore rupees, from investors like Artiman Ventures, Walden Riverwood Ventures, and Qualcomm Ventures. Alright, those were our picks for the top 10 Indian defense startups.
तो फ्रेंड्स, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग वीडियो था. इतना डेप्थ में हर एक स्टार्टअप कंपनी का बताया और हमें नहीं पता था इनकी अचीवमेंट्स, जिससे बहुत प्राउड फील होता है और मेरे ख्याल से और स्टार्टअप कंपनीज को भी इंकरेजमेंट मिलती है जो सोच रहे हैं कि हमने बनानी है कि बिल्कुल डिफेंस में. और इतनी अमेजिंग चीजें जो कमाल है, जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि उरी के टाइम भी वो यूज हुई थी, जो और मूवी में भी दिखाते थे ना कि नाइट विजन के लिए, तो ये नहीं पता था कि अपनी इंडिया की बनी हुई है. अब ये देख के वीडियो से पता चलता है कि मोदी जी को, इसीलिए मोदी जी कहते हैं कि भाई हमने मेड इन इंडिया करना है, खुद बनाना है, डिफेंस भी हमने खुद बनाना है, क्योंकि हमारे पास वो कैलिबर है, हमारे पास वो ब्रेन पावर है. अगर प्रॉपर इंकरेजमेंट दी जाए तो बहुत ऐसी कंपनीज आएंगी जो बना सकती हैं. फिर जो इतना पैसा हम भेज देते हैं दूसरी कंट्रीज को और उनसे लेते हैं वेपन्स, वो सारा हमारे पास रहेगा और हमारे को हम क्या करेंगे, हम अपने बना के बेचेंगे और जो खर्चते थे उतना बल्कि हमारे पास आएगा. तो उसी लाइन पे वर्क हो रहा है और कई कंपनीज जैसे फर्स्ट वाली बोली भी, वो बेच भी रही है और यूएसए तक जा रहा है, इजराइल तक जा रहे हैं उनकी चीजें. तो पाथ तो हमने वही चुना है, बस अब तेजी से उस पे जो काम हो जाए तो बहुत ही बढ़िया होगा. दिस वाज अमेजिंग.
बहुत अच्छा वीडियो था और उन्होंने कितनी सारी मतलब जो इनोवेशंस दिखाई हैं, विच इज ग्रेट. और ये बताया कि रेट काफी सक्सेस का बहुत कम है, मतलब 9.9 आउट ऑफ 10 शायद बोले फेलियर का रेट है बिटवीन गवर्नमेंट एंड बिजनेस टू B2G कह रहे हैं. तो काफ़ी मतलब टफ काम है, और तभी कह रहे हैं क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट को बहुत ज़बरदस्त चीज़ें चाहिए, मगर स्टार्टअप्स हो गए. और ये भी बहुत अच्छा बोला था कि 50% जो है आपको इंपोर्ट करना पड़ता है. वो दुख की बात है कि 50% जो है इंपोर्ट होता है, और वो इंडिया जो है जैसे कहते हैं डेकेड लगेगा, 15 साल 10 साल में इंडिया बहुत ज़बरदस्त उसमें कुछ करने वाला है कि हमें इतना इंपोर्ट ना करना पड़े. और साथ में एक्सपोर्ट्स इंक्रीज होंगे, पैसा आएगा, वही लगेगा और आगे रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट में. तो काफ़ी अच्छा था, काफ़ी अच्छे इन्होंने इनोवेशन दिखाए हैं, पता भी नहीं था हमें कि एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. और बहुत ही अच्छा लग रहा है कि स्टार्टअप्स आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. मेरे ख्याल से यही एस्टिमेट है कि 10-15 साल में ये इंडिया बहुत डिफरेंट इंडिया होगा. तो वेरी नाइस वीडियो.
और डेफिनेटली मैं ये भी कहूंगी कि जब देखेंगे कि इतना इंकरेजमेंट मिलती है स्टार्टअप्स के लिए, तो जो सारे लोग बाहर की कंट्रीज में गए हैं अपॉर्चुनिटीज के लिए, वो वापस आएंगे. मेरे कई फ्रेंड्स हैं जो यूएसए छोड़ के वापस इंडिया आए और वहां पे उन्होंने भी स्टार्टअप कंपनीज खोली हुई हैं. तो बहुत ही अच्छा, मतलब इंडिया को आगे बढ़ाने का बहुत ही अच्छा ये विजन है. तो चलो फ्रेंड्स, चलते हैं, मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में बहुत ही जल्द. टिल देन टेक केयर एंड बाय बाय.
तो अगर आप मेरे इस चैनल पे नए हो तो जल्दी से सब्सक्राइब के बटन को हिट करो और बेल आइकन को क्लिक करो, ताकि आपको मेरा जब नया वीडियो मैं लगाऊं आपको उसके बारे में जल्दी से पता चल जाए.